So yeah, just 10-minute demo, I guess.
Super cool, super cool. I have so many questions. Can I ask you some questions?
Let's go.
Hey everyone, this is Oscar from Underdog, and today I'm here with Joran from Joranalogue.
Hi. Great to have you here.
Great to be here, great to be here. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about Joranalogue. What are you and what do you do?
So we're Joranalogue audio design, and we make Joran modules right here in Belgium. That's everything from the concepting, design, the works. It's all done right here at the Joranalogue corporate hours, as we like to say. For a long time, I didn't really have a modular setup, except the modules I created. Things grow, and now we've got a team of people. It's become a team effort now. But the core principle is still the same as my vision.
That vision, could you elaborate it?
We try to do the most as we can with analog, give that to musicians. They do the most amazing things with it.
That's a beautiful mission. And so one of those design examples that many people have probably heard of is like in modular, you might want one knob per function versus something that might be designed in a menu diving kind of a way. That sort of speaks to that, right?
One of the big benefits of analog is that we are forced to design one knob per function. And modular can look very daunting because you've all got all these cables and you've got all these sockets and so on. But actually, it's probably the most direct way to make electronic music imaginable. For me, I see a modular system, and as long as you know the modules, you can make music with it, as long as you know how each module works.
Are there any modules that you would say are sort of most representative or most iconic that you've made over the past years?
It's quite a few. We've got pretty big selection now, but Filter 8 is our most well-known module, and that one I think demonstrates our design ethos quite well. It's a filter at heart, so you've got these 8 different filter types, and instead of a rotary switch to switch between them, you've simply got 8 simultaneous outputs. So you can process these outputs separately. And
so it's doing it all at the same time.
It's doing it all at the same time. And you've got some additional options.
People were interested in exploring the different modules that you have. What would be a good source for them to look at? Because today we won't have time to go into too many details on the individual modules, but where can we send people if they want to go deeper into the Joranalogue universe?
Yeah, the website is definitely the best place to start. We've got videos for all of the modules. You can read the manuals, which actually have a lot of information, not just on how the modules work, but also patch ideas. So you can get started with them right away. Because that's key to modular, is understanding the individual modules. And then you've just got a playground and you can patch whatever you want.
Are there any artist names that come to mind whose music excites you that you know some of your modules were involved in?
This might turn into like a long name-dropping session.
Some people are like, they look at modular and they go, yeah, but nobody actually makes music on those. Yeah. They just make bleeps and bloops.
Oh yeah, I saw a performance by Stevio in Bristol. We've got Banky, who's doing amazing things with our modules. We've also got Boris and Fritz here in the office who are doing amazing things. I'm forgetting names and I'm going to be kicking myself when I see this because I forgot to mention some people.
Maybe you could show me hands-on a little bit how some of this fits together?
Let's go.
All right.
With a system like this, you start with an empty slate. It's not like a blank canvas because you've got a selection of modules already in front of you. But all of these modules are very multifunctional. There's really no rules on how you have to use anything. So for example, if I were to say I want to create a kick drum, you know, something very simple, I can take patch with just the one module filter being used to create a kick drum and a bass line as well. And that's one of the things I love most about modular is that, you know, you're not forced to use a filter as a filter. It's very multifunctional. So that's one way to patch, like, super simple, you know, 5-minute patch with a kick drum and a little hi-hat on top.
That was all very exciting and sounded really sweet. I can really see the potential of it, but I can imagine that some people at home are wondering what is going on.
Everything is simply voltage changing in time. And once you get this idea, like, that opens up possibilities, because now suddenly a filter isn't just something that can filter audio. And it might also work in lower frequencies, so lower than audio, and it can be a slew limiter. And it can create glides if you use it that way.
I love that perspective. The idea that everything can be everything, so to speak. I see the appeal and the seductiveness of that. But then again, you speak of like this realm of open possibilities, but maybe for someone who's just trying to understand what's going on in a modular system, the options are maybe too many. So I guess once you actually start to make an actual patch, you have to make some principles for yourself or some ideas around which you're going to build that patch.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So for example, what you did here, in its simplest way, if you would explain it to someone who knows pretty much nothing about modular, how would you explain what you just did?
So you can think of a patch consisting of a audio signal path, like how do you create sound, where does the sound go through, and then you've also got a modulation path, so what actually controls those modules that are making the sound. And in this patch you can say, okay, we've got a delay 1 that has an envelope going into it as an audio signal, because it's simply, you can use that to trigger this delay line and synthesize sounds, just starting from an envelope, essentially, from this transient.
Okay.
And then the same envelope is going to the time modulation. So it's actually, the BBD starts to resonate, and then it's also being slowed down.
Just for the people at home, BBD is bucket brigade delay, right? Which is a technique for generating delays.
Yeah. So we've got that kick drum from delay 1 being modulated by an envelope, and that goes straight to the output, actually. It's quite that simple.
But so hang on, so the kick drum that we were hearing is generated by a delay?
Exactly.
That's crazy. So, okay, so there is no kick drum module here.
No.
What we're doing is, we're sort of abusing a delay module to generate something that functions as a kick.
Yes.
That's incredible. I have to say, like, coming from a very digital background, like a lot of in-the-box kind of things, I have to admit, I don't know how I would, if you would take away all the cables, I don't know how I would make that delay make a kick drum sound.
Yes.
Like, I can't picture it. Because I remember, like, I did that other video with Brice about, you know, where he also makes the point that almost anything can be abused to be anything else. Yeah. But coming from a laptop workflow, that's quite abstract still.
Yeah, but actually for me, personally, it's the opposite. Because I think a lot of people have gotten used to this laptop workflow of a DAW because it's the most accessible way to make music. You know, you open the default project and it's this empty slate.
Yeah.
And you've got maybe some VSTs and you've got some samples, but how do you even start to make music with that? You know, and you have the same response to this as I have to a DAW.
That's so interesting. So I'd like to function as a gateway drug, as a bridge, you know, to try and make it kind of more accessible, maybe, some of the ideas. Because if that kick drum that we just heard, it didn't contain one of those oscillators.
No.
That's crazy. I think before I leave here today, I want to understand how I would do that from scratch. Like, that would be something genuine that I wouldn't know how to do.
Well, let's do it.
All right, so we've unpatched everything. And what we're going to do is we're going in to this particular module, this delay one, and we're going to try and get that to sound like a kick drum, all right, using the minimum number of complexity possible. All right, Joran.
Contour 1, it's a function generator, but let's think of it as just an envelope generator. It's repeating, so it's set to loop mode, which means that this envelope is constantly re-triggering itself, rising, falling. So we'll take one of the outputs and we'll use that to control step 8.
So in a way, you could almost say that this contour 1 is going to act like a clock that feeds into the sequencer.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, so it's a clock going into a sequencer.
So we take this, and that goes into the step input on step 8. And now you'll see that step 8 is stepping. So this is our sequencer in the patch. If I decrease the release time, contour 1 is going to go faster, and step 8 is going to follow. All right, so on step 8, it's a very, very multifunctional module. It has a lot of capabilities. but at its heart, it's quite simple. You can just think of it as an 8-step sequencer, or that's at least the easiest application of it. So let's say we've got 8 quarter notes here, and we want a kick on our 1st and our 5th quarter note. So we take gate output 1 with another patch cable. We take gate output 5. Now we've got 2 cables. We want to combine these. So we can do that simply by adding them together. And that's why we have add 2. It's a small module here. Now these 2 are combined, and we have a signal that goes high on the 1 and on the 5.
All these modules so far were to create a clock feeding into a step sequencer, which is giving us basically 2 triggers which we then combine into one signal stream to simply feed for like a 4 to the floor pattern into the module that we're actually going to use to create sound. So all of this was just trigger signals that's going to tell the thing that makes sound when to make sound.
Yeah, so now we've got this trigger on the 1 and the 5, and we put it into this contour 1, and now you'll see the LED goes on every 1st stage and the 5th stage. And now this envelope is going to do 2 things. It's going to modulate the pitch, and we're also going to use it as an audio input.
All right, so it's basically like a little click.
Yes.
And that's going to resonate out that click.
So we can listen to this. I'm going to set delay 1. So this is a dry wet control, right? And we can listen to the outputs.
So this is the clean signal, which is this is sort of going to be the heart and soul of the kick drum, and the delay is going to create resonance around it. Yeah.
If I turn up the wet, now we start to hear this delay line resonating, and you've got a feedback parameter, you've got a damping parameter. So anyone who has used a digital delay will, probably be at home here. But of course, we can modulate any of these parameters.
Right. Can I mess with it myself for a second?
Yes, of course.
So that's just a click.
Yeah.
And then this is the body of the resonating sound around it. Oh, that's nice. For those of you who insist on tuning your kick drums, this is the one. And then, if you follow our logic, we could change the drum pattern to this. Nice. And then we could speed everything up by shortening the loop here, I believe, right? Is there any risk if we just push it all the way down?
No.
Okay, so usually you'd go up in BPM, and you might have to stop here, but we can go.
Oscar, we need to add one more cable.
Oh, we need to add one more cable?
And I'm gonna let you do it. So on contour 1, we have 2 outputs. The normal output, which goes from 0 to 10 volts, and we've also got an inverted one, which goes from 0 to -10. We need a cable from that second output to the time modulation inputs. All we need to do is tweak the chorus, tweak the time, then you're just designing a kick drum.
So with this resonant body of the sound, it sounds much more like you're beating a big drum compared to just these clicks that are coming out of the contour. Today I learned solid kick drum where every single aspect of its creation can be modulated. Amazing, that was exciting. Yeah, cool.
So it's a very simple patch, and then you can just start adding some stuff to it.
And so looking more towards the future, if you look at the landscape of modular synthesis or more synthesis more generally, where do you think things are going, and what do you see maybe as your role inside of that?
I think like the modular community has a lot of work to do to better communicate and explain what makes modular so interesting, so viable, so valuable as a tool to create electronic music. Modular people will get excited over the most amazing like oh, it tracks volt per octave over that range with temperature compensation. But I think we can all get a little bit better in communicating why these things are important, why they allow you to make music in such a direct way. And that's, in general, I think a job everyone has in this space, and just being more accessible in general.
Hey, Joran, thank you so much for having us today. I really enjoyed diving into the world of Joranalogue. I think it's really, really cool. I hope some people at home were able to enjoy it as well. Remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment to let us know what you think of modular or of your experience with Joranalogue. And until next time, stay producing, be good to each other, and take care. Bye-bye.